Is there something you want them to broadcast on either the fees or sales tax?
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe.
Because this
We're
feels,
proud of our well around here.
I think that.
good point.
Yes.
Yeah, we weren't
Good
gonna
point,
project anything
trustee
tonight.
Fink.
Is that okay? Yeah.
It's like Aaron Brockovich.
Let's not,
Would you like your glass of water?
I knew that was gonna happen.
It's easier to return.
keeping us healthy, right?
I knew there'd be
Water, sir?
Yes, please.
Okay, just the back. You know, I was a waitress at Plymouth Place when I was in high school.
Really?
Yes. You wanna talk about some tough clientele, those Plymouth Place people.
Do you remember Maison Gourmet?
What?
Do you remember Maison Gourmet?
Don't you fool no one. That was my
Where was that at?
It was like by Casey's, but a little like next to the jewelry store.
Yeah.
Made it.
I was just talking about
you made it.
running,
You're still on time.
running the cash register in Bowling.
Nice.
Serving ice
We
cream
had a
all
whole
summer.
plan how you were going to say
don't
the
have to
pledge
work.
by yourself.
Yeah.
That's how it
Hey, steps used to be where.
So I guess that's going to be Amy
That
instead.
has changed over.
It was Snackers.
Snackers,
Snackers,
yes. I remember
yeah.
Snackers.
Yeah, before Snackers was Boland's. And I remember, I was telling you.
I'm the same age as one of the Bolins. The youngest one. Yeah, Kathleen.
Okay, wait, they have their own water down there. Bill made it.
Get established.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Good.
We haven't cracked the code. Hopefully they've cracked the code now with the.
Oh, I don't know if you wanted to look at this. I went to this. Did you already see it?
I did not.
All right, you can look at it, you can take it home if you want.
Cash register, taking orders, and making milkshakes.
Director Super also got one. Ann was there also.
I know.
I've done a lot of hard
Sounds
jobs in my life, but that one, I was like,
West.
I'm gonna
Pretty
lose
green.
my mind.
I have my own thoughts about it, but we will go.
Are you going to mention it? Because I'll mention it in my report if
Okay.
you don't.
I was
She's
gonna
mention
briefly
a couple
mention
Oh,
it,
okay, great.
that I attended, but if you wanna say something further
With the doctor.
about what was said, okay.
Yeah, we like to reference attendance. Let's
Yes.
see. Amy. Okay. Okay. All right, we're going to go ahead and start.
Okay.
I'll check my email.
Yeah? All right. All right, 7 o'clock. All right, good evening. Welcome to the February 9th, 2026 meeting of the Village of Western Springs Village Board of Trustees to honor our nation's heroes and especially to honor the individuals who serve and protect our community. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you very much. May we have the roll call, please, Clerk Timick?
Yes, President Rudolph. Trustee Avakian. Trustee Chen.
Here.
Trustee Fink.
Here.
Trustee Lewis.
Here.
Trustee Martin.
Here.
Trustee Naraki.
Here.
All right, thank you very much. Moving on to public comment on our agenda. Do not see anyone here in the audience. So we'll move on. The next item on our agenda is just recognition that of the January 26th Meeting minutes, anybody, I'm going to actually do a motion. Anybody have any questions or concerns with those minutes?
No.
If not, then I will make a motion to approve those minutes as read.
I will second.
Okay, voice vote. So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, very good. All right, let's move on then to our committee reports. We'll begin with general government. Trustee Chen.
Thank you. Just 2 items that are report only that we discussed in our last general government committee meeting. One is a notice regarding the regular meeting dates, which now includes the Plan Commission meeting dates for 2026. And the second item is 2026 legislative initiatives. We discussed with Manager Bear a little bit of the legislative initiatives as it is Springfield is now in session. And also I attended the West Central Municipal Conference legislative breakfast with Director Supert on Saturday morning, and there were legislators there talking about both what the municipal entities are looking at is happening in Springfield, happening federally, and whatnot. So there might be more of a update on that, but it was interesting, and that's all I have on that front.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Moving on then to Finance Committee. Trustee Martin.
Yes, we have 3 items for discussion tonight. The first item is a review that has been done across all departments in the village of fees that have been embedded in our ordinances. So the Finance Committee reviewed this item on our January 20th meeting, and we are recommending that we update the village code and create a village fee schedule, removing the fees from the code and having the code stand alone. Those village fees then were reviewed by all departments, and staff is proposing certain adjustments, and they put those adjustments into categories. Some of them are things that are based on current practices or costs, regulatory fees, and we're trying to make sure everything is updated and equitable. They're also proposing that we review this every year as we budget. And so we have an independent document of this fee schedule that we can review and make sure that it's still up to date. Please.
Could I just know, so the fee schedule will be embedded in the code, it will be part of the code, but as Trustee Martin indicated, it will be separated out so that it's much easier to find.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. So I just wanted to open it up to questions. It's a rather lengthy list of fees, but what Director Vallone has done for us is really, in the attachment, shown us the reasoning for each adjustment. So she's bucketed them for us into market adjustments, operational costs, some agreement that we've had to update, and then comparing us to other communities. So if you had a chance to review those, and also key initiatives, and making sure that we are feeing and fining to what we actually want to have happen. And I think that's part of the approach to reviewing the numbers. But if anyone has any questions, Director Vallone is certainly here and can answer any of them on specific fees.
Were there any specific areas to call out in particular? And I mean, I looked at this in the past, but that we want to bring up specifically?
Please,
that
Director Vallone.
that were a significant change, for example.
Sure. So there are a few that I think other departments can also speak to as well, at least from Title IX, the building code perspective. There was a lot of what I was calling right-sizing fees, looking at really what we're spending, whether that's a consultant or staff time, or what costs have been related to a specific type of application, and really having our fees reflect that to set expectations for better customer service. Additionally, there was just some minor changes to our business licensing regulations. For example, we will begin licensing landscapers, not just those who are doing hard surface work, but also other work around town to ensure that we have appropriate means to contact them and they're aware of our requirements. And then additionally, charging for our health inspectors' time as well on some of our business licensing for licensed food establishments.
So a lot of those fees, when was the last time they've been adjusted?
Quite some time ago. They vary in time, but generally all of them have not been touched in between 5 to 10 years,
Okay, wow.
at least.
All right, so to your point too, then, Trustee Martin, some of those are and Director Vallone, a market adjustment, that those really are just reflecting, again, they're getting us current with some of our neighboring communities and/or, like you say, looking at the actual time and even expenses that we might be incurring for some of those particular items. Again, I know there are many, many line items in here, so this is a kind of a multifaceted effort. It's one, it's making this much more usable to the community, right? So for our residents, contractors, et cetera. But then also, it was at the same time this very comprehensive review of the individual fees. Do we know what the number, the row count is in here?
I apologize, I don't know the row count, but I can tell you that the longer document you have in front of you, the 11 by 17 printed, so you can read it a little bit easier, that will be condensed down. You're seeing a couple of columns there. That'll be condensed down to one column, and that document will then become the fee schedule. So that would become the one table to review and see all of the village fees. And then the ordinance that adopts both that fee schedule and then also makes the changes throughout the code is 92 Section 1.
So we're saving paper and eyesight and so forth. I just think it's an excellent mechanism, and I'd like to commend Director Vallone and the staff for taking on the initiative to make this much more manageable and reviewable for us on an annual basis, so that we are not going through 92 sections of code to make sure we've got the right fees and fines and so forth.
Totally agree. And just, again, bringing some of these fees just up to a reasonable standard. I mean, we're not looking to have this be like a big, huge opportunity to increase our revenue, but rather to be reasonable and keeping up in the future, it sounds like then, at just a more regular cadence. Okay.
Yes, that's correct. Great, thank you. So the second item that we have, and so that was just for discussion. The second item we have is, and Village Manager Baer will help me out here, but she has a certain approval amount of dollars every year that she can just go ahead and approve vendor contracts. This mechanism, she sent us a memo letting us know, Director Mastrodona sent us a memo letting us know of some of the vendors that we'll be using in 2026 as they anticipate using people. This is sort of a disclosure for us. I would, encourage you to review it in case you have any questions about anyone. But all of these expenses will still come to us every month for approval. So each line, we're not pre-approving expenses, we're pre-approving vendors. Anything else you'd like to say?
Just that, as you know, you receive financial reports, monthly financial reports. That's where you typically would find some of these vendors in terms of being approved. For example, utility bills and other things tend to come in this way. But to be prudent, our village attorney has advised that having something on the front end is always great from a transparency standpoint. Some of these vendors we may not spend outside of my authority, but some we may. So many of these are ones that we aren't always sure what we'll be spending, and I think that's why doing this on the front end is more advantageous to us.
Any questions or comments? I don't think we need an action item.
No,
Just discussion. Great. Okay, so then the last item that we have for discussion, the Finance Committee discussed this on February 3rd this year, and we are recommending the approval of an ordinance implementing a non-home rule municipal retailers occupation tax and a non-home rule municipal service occupation tax in the Village of Western Springs. The board will recall that we've discussed this last year. The sales tax is made available to us by the state of Illinois. We did not implement it as soon as it was available to us, but Finance has reviewed it. And where we left off as a board with the Finance Department was we asked them, we heard a whole bunch of reasons to implement this, but then we asked them to put together information for us on deferred expenses. What's the immediate use and need for the money that would come in from this additional revenue stream? So I'm going to ask Director Mastrodona to go through the memo that he put together for everyone. Highly digestible. I want to make sure that we know, though, that this is the last step in a very robust discussion, if you recall, that we all had together on this topic. We talked about bond ratings, we talked about prudent financial management, and this, though, was the need that we wanted to better understand. Director Macedonia, would you mind?
Yes, thank you, Trustee Martin. Yes, as we left it off, we want to see kind of how the 2026 budget process went and kind of where we saw a need that could potentially be filled, or a funding gap that could potentially be filled. The largest one that stuck out was our capital improvement fund. That is utilized to fund mostly the fleet, public health and safety, unfunded mandates fall under that, village IT equipment, and some building improvements. That is just for buildings that fall under kind of general operations, Village Hall, the 2 fire stations, and the Public Works building, and also the police department. There's about $300,000 of requests that did not get in this year. That was just what was requested. There was a significant deficit in that fund, but with it being a capital improvement fund, we do normally see that where we kind of build up some reserves and then draw them down. We looked at annual costs of, again, our IT equipment, public health and safety equipment, our fleet split out between light vehicles and heavy equipment, and just annual building improvements that we see on an ongoing basis. To keep everything within its useful life, so have the funds available to replace it by the time we would expect to. It was about approximately $1 million a year, and we only have approximately $225,000 allocation from the property tax going into that fund, so a deficit of $735,000. Due to this, in the past, we have about 9 heavy vehicles that are past their useful life, 18 of the 30 light fleet, so that's squad cars, some pickup trucks used by municipal services, are beyond their useful life. 2 of those are currently out of operation right now, but the other 16 of them are still usable and they're being used. The heavy equipment, 9 were outside of its useful life, being about $1.2 million of total costs. And that was like the largest gap we saw while producing the 2026 budget. Our capital requests are always something we are going through very detailed every year and having to kind of defer a lot of costs to be able to make sure we have a balanced budget. And I could answer any questions that anyone would have.
Thank you, Director Macedonia. I would say finally that I beat a drum a little bit on deferred maintenance that we have, but I did explain to my 14-year-old son that we can't run these pieces of equipment to ground the way we are our home car, because these are critical services. So I just want to make a flag that this is not a nice-to-have obligation of the village. These are critical vehicles and equipment that have to be kept up if we're going to meet the needs of the services that we have to provide to the residents. So thank you for putting together the information. I think every year it kind of slips us by that we're not necessarily putting money into areas we have to, so it's a bit of a tough pill to swallow, but if we needed another reason to accept this sales tax, I would say arguably keeping up our critical equipment and vehicles would be a great use of that money.
So the $735,000 deficit, that's per year. That's not just right now. Like you're saying as kind of a run rate, the 225-ish thousand.
Correct, yeah. We kind of took an inventory, mostly of our fleet. Some of the building stuff is on there too, and just kind of having an annual amount that would be going in, because we know there's over $6 million from that study that needs improvements.
Sure.
We annualized the current costs out to be what it would be today to get that 1 million. So that 735 is just per year of cost just to stay up to date.
So I guess the other question is this, and I know this has been considered, but I think it would be on people's minds, which is, so this is our only solution to cover that deficit on an ongoing basis? Question mark.
Right. We don't have another source of funds. And if our objective is to reduce our deferred maintenance, this would be the mechanism for us.
Questions, discussion, other points?
I would just say I think it's an unpleasant task, but I think it's something we need to do to keep Western Springs a nice place to live.
It's well put. Trustee Chen or Naraki, any?
No, I know we discussed this, and we talked about implementing it in 2026, so I appreciate that work to put some of these ongoing costs so that we have more numbers to put behind what we want to use the funds for on an ongoing basis, so thank you.
Just so you know, the alternative to not accruing in this
Yes.
capital fund is to hit our reserves when something fails. And that becomes a very, from this retired banker's perspective, that becomes a very difficult cash flow problem for the village.
Yeah.
So this is the prudent way to keep up, putting money away to keep up with the maintenance. So as Director Mastrodona said, nothing is going beyond its useful life. We're planning to keep it
Sure.
up over time.
And,
Oh, sorry. It is one mechanism that I see neighboring communities do, other communities that we talk to, they have reserve funds and they depreciate their vehicles and things like that. It's not something we've been able to do in the past, just because we didn't have a funding source to put away that kind of money year after year. So it's been a goal of Director Mastrodona and I to find a way to keep up with these things, and I think the village board tasked us with really looking hard at the budget and making sure that the board saw everything rather than just what made the cuts, and I think we've been doing that now for 4 or 5 years, and this became really obvious to us that it is the big gap that we have each year.
yeah, and it's getting bigger. I mean, and then to your point, Trustee Martin, this does become something then that, it becomes then a crisis.
Right.
Speaking of other communities, the actual sales tax itself, can you remind me of where other communities around us are with the sales tax?
Director Mastrodona, you've been looking at that.
Yes, yeah. Almost all of our neighbors have an additional sales tax, a locally imposed sales tax. Most of them being 1%. There are a handful that are about 0.5%, just north of us and west, and as you get into DuPage County. But right now, we're kind of one of the only ones within our region that does not have a local sales tax.
And we don't have any idea with sales tax as to how would I describe it? The percentage that the impact is on our residents versus guests. We don't know that, right?
We do not, no, and that's a good point. This is one of the only revenue streams that we have to our ability that does not solely impact only residents in our community, that it could potentially kind of spread out that burden to visitors as well.
Yep. Yeah, okay. And the 1% itself, so I know that the state enables us to implement this in 0.25% increments. Why 1%? And do we feel like, I'm going to use one of my phrases, do we feel like this future-proofed? Like, we're not going to come back to this board in a year or 2 years and ask for it to be more?
Right now, our cap is 1%.
Okay.
And using that 1%, we approximate that would be close to $1 million a year.
Okay.
Which that kind of covers that funding gap that we see within
Okay.
our capital fund.
Okay, yeah, sorry, then my mistake, that can't be increased at all, okay.
Mhm.
Okay. I don't think I had any other questions.
So this was for discussion tonight.
Right. I appreciate that. I know, again, we've been talking about this for several months and appreciate all the information and the analysis. It's thorough.
It is. They did a great job.
Yeah, in terms of for us to all understand kind of the situation that we're in and to appreciate we just really don't have alternatives here. And I don't like the idea of going about it in kind of a crisis way. I think, again, for the service of the community and what our residents expect of this, I think we have to have a plan in place that is a solid plan going forward. Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. That's it for finance.
All right. All right, moving on then to planning and zoning. Trustee Fink?
All right, we only have one item. It is the Title IX Building Code update. State law requires non-home rule communities to use the International Code Council system for building codes and for us to be within 3 versions of the most current code. Staff is recommending to adopt the 2018 edition. The zoning committee has discussed these changes during our January 17th and February 3rd meetings and recommend approving the revised Title IX codes. And that's all I have. Any questions?
Okay, very good, thank you. Public Works and Water Committee, Trustee Lewis.
Thank you, President Rudolph. Our committee has reviewed and recommends village board approval of temporary construction easements for 8 properties that are part of the upcoming Woodland Avenue reconstruction project. A new 8-inch water main is being installed along Woodland, and these easements are needed so our contractor can work on private property to replace lead water service lines on that section of the street with new copper service lines. The easements should be ready for our approval later this month or in early March. Excuse me, any questions? Next, our committee also recommends approval, at our next meeting of a professional services agreement with Robinson Engineering to help us replace water main valves in various locations throughout the village for an amount not to exceed $46,500. The valves are used to isolate water main breaks or to stop the flow of water for other construction work. Any questions about that? Item C. Our committee also recommends approval at our next meeting of a vendor contract with Filtration Services LLC for $95,700 to procure parts and service for the Amiad iron removal units at the water plant. Item D. We also recommend the full board approve a bid waiver and vendor contract with Ferguson Waterworks, a sole source provider for the purchase of water meters and accessories for an amount not to exceed $22,822.08. We need to restock our supply of meters to be ready for another busy construction season. And I'll also note that the dollars spent to get these meters and accessories are recaptured when we collect new meter installation fees. Item E, the Public Works and Water Committee also recommends the full board approve a vendor contract at our next meeting with More Oil for fuel supply and delivery for an amount not to exceed $100,000. More Oil has supplied fuel for the village's fleet for several years. The fueling system is automated and sends alerts to More Oil when the fuel levels fall under a certain threshold, and then that alert triggers a delivery. Any questions about that? And finally, as you are aware, the village received notification from the Environmental Protection Agency on January 26th that village water samples had exceeded radium standards. And radium is a naturally occurring element in deep bedrock aquifers in Illinois. We shared this information publicly, and per the Illinois EPA requirements, we mailed a formal notification to residents. New filter membranes, which should reduce radium levels back to an acceptable range, are being installed this month. And that's all I have. I don't know if
I have a minor update on that. We actually had the filters delivered today, and then we are scheduling them. The schedule for the current installation of those filters is going to start on the 17th.
And then how does the ongoing testing go with respect to the understanding the remediation of the
Yeah,
problem?
correct. So once we get the filters in replaced, we will be implementing a monthly updated test that will be posted on the village website with updates once we get that replacement completed.
Okay, do you feel pretty confident in this replacement will solve it?
Yeah, this replacement was part of our scheduled maintenance for this year, was part of the budget process. We are, in addition to this filter maintenance, though, we're also taking another look at some of the operation configuration of the plants. So I think when we get out of this, we'll have the issue resolved.
Okay, thank you for that update.
It does take about 30 days to get results of tests, so we'll have, those will be pasted onto the website as soon as we have them.
Okay, great, thank you.
And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, Properties and Rec Committee, Trustee Naraki.
Thanks, President Rudolph. I have one item on the agenda for tonight, which is for discussion only about 2026 contract renewals. We have 4 contract renewals coming up, one with Hydrant hydrant painting with Go Painters, Inc. for an amount not to exceed $25,000. This will be the first renewal for the contract, which is awarded by the village on April 28th, 2025. We have streetlight painting, also with Go Painters, Inc. for an amount not to exceed $15,000. This will be the first renewal for the contract, which was awarded by the village board on August 18th, 2025. One more contract for street sweeping with Lakeshore Recycling Systems, LLC, for an amount not to exceed $55,500. This will be the first renewal for the contract, which is awarded by the village board on March 24th, 2025. And then one more for tree removal with Desiderio Landscaping and Tree Removal, LLC, for an amount not to exceed $75,000. This will be the third contract renewal for this vendor, which is awarded by the village board on March 20th, 2023. So it's nice to see us using kind of the same vendors and getting familiar with them and things like that. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, that concludes my report for today.
Great, thank you very much. And then trustee Naraki, will you be handling the Public Health and Safety Committee?
Oh, I think
I can
trustee-
take that one.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. But you'd
But
do
sure,
a great
bring
job.
it- We're gonna remember, trustee Fink, we'll just keep going.
Yeah, just so you can just keep
Just
going.
run it
Yeah.
off the cuff.
Yeah.
Public Health and Safety Committee
Okay.
is recommending purchasing self-contained breathing apparatuses for the fire department, an amount not to exceed $45,150. But half of that will be paid by the Foreign Fire Insurance Board, so our cost will only be $22,575. That's all I have.
All right, very good, thank you very much.
Is that something we want to motion? Oh, no, it's discussion, sorry.
No, okay.
Discussion only.
So everything was discussion only this evening, so for the first time in a long time, we do not
No
have an omnibus
omnibus.
vote. Right?
That only happens
Right?
about once a year. so-
I know. We voted to approve the minutes, and that was it. So I'm a little, flustered.
And Nicole is great.
I know, I'm like, wow.
I know. Okay, so then any new business?
No new business.
Or old business? Okay, very good. We will move on to reports then. Monthly financial report, trustee Martin.
Not this meeting.
Okay. I also do not have a report tonight. Village Manager
I
Bear.
do not have a report tonight. I was trying to think of something, but no.
We are good. This is a good-
Okay. Village Attorney Skradsky.
I do have a report. Off trend, but as trustee Chen alluded to a little bit earlier tonight, I just wanted to say a few more words about the WCMC Legislative Breakfast, which I attended with trustee Chen and alongside Director Supert this Saturday. So many of our state, local, and federal officials were present at the breakfast, which is an annual occurrence. The WCMC is a collection of about 40 different municipalities and then other units of government that are in the West Central, West Cook area. And some of the legislative priorities that were outlined and that were identified in the agenda was, of course, the local government distributive fund, which is something that we always talk about with the state. So that was discussed, and the WCMC continues its work to try to impress upon the state the importance of local governments receiving their full LGDF funds. Another issue that was discussed was issues caused by Cook County's late tax distributions this year. So that's something that was of major concern to a lot of local communities, and they're trying to problem solve some of the things so that we can get the property tax distribution back on track. And then finally, I wanted to mention a bill that's in the U.S. House of Representatives, which would create a grant fund for lead service line replacement. So as you know, we are one of the communities that has a lot of lead service line replacements. The Chicago area is actually the highest concentration of lead service lines in the country. So that is something that we struggle with. Obviously, no amount of lead is safe, and it's something that causes problems, but the LSLR replacements have been a significant financial burden So the House of Representatives is looking to create a grant fund that would alleviate some of that financial burden. So that's something that we're looking forward to and that the WCMC wants to promote. So those were some of the main, I don't know if you have anything else to add, Trustee Chen, but those were some of the main issues identified on Saturday. And Western Springs, of course, has a strong presence in the WCMC and finds great success working with our neighboring communities.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for that report.
Yes.
You're welcome.
We appreciate that. All right, I believe now we will move on to closing the meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I will make that motion.
Is there a second?
I will second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.
Yay, wow.
Well done, team.